Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Old Man Rambles. Today, I want to talk about childhood wonder. You know, the experience that we feel as little kids at the world. You know, I may be an old fart, but I remember being a little kid. I remember doing things just for the experience of it. You know, I remember the taste of copper pennies and the smoothness of marbles. I remember throwing rocks in the dust just to see how big of a crater I could make in it. You know, and then I would, um, I would stare at leaves to look at the patterns in it. You know, the texture of flower petals, the seed pods at the end of a tuft of grass, just to pull them apart and watch them fall. And watch the seeds fall on from my fingertips. The texture of bark. I used to sit at the Bristol Dam, which was the local swimming hole, and I would sit on the rocks and just watch water cascade over the dam. Just watch the patterns of the water. Watching little fish swim among the reeds, watching the reeds wave in the current. Sunlight on the water, sunlight dappled through the leaves of a tree. You know, just laying on the ground and just feeling the grass along your back and watching the clouds go through the sky. Or going outside at nighttime just to stare at the moon or watch the stars. Just all these little things, the textures, the sights, the sounds that you would do things. Watching the surf, just watching the surf crash on the shore or the beach, digging through the sand at the waterline and watching the muddy sand drip through your fingers. Just being amazed at the complexity of the world around me and just trying to observe it and experience it in whatever way I could. All those sights and sounds and textures that are so amazing to a small child that you'll do things for no other reason than to do them. Just to see what happens, just to see what it looks like, just to see what it feels like, to see what it tastes like. That last one's not always good. Not everything tastes good. But still, not every experience was good either. You do things as a kid that are dangerous because, you're looking for an experience. What is this thing like? What happens when I do this thing? And yeah, we're kids and inexperienced, we do stupid things, but there's this sense of wonder in everything around you because it's all new and it's there to be seen and heard and felt. And I could lose, time just sitting looking at things. And a lot of times that goes away as we get older. And some of it has. I no longer suck on pennies. But I can still find myself sitting at the pool, watching sunlight sparkle on the water, watching the clouds go by. I will go outside at night and look at the stars and just stare at them and just try and, imagine what it's like out there. I haven't completely lost my sense of wonder at the world around me. I've been able to hold on to it longer than I think most people have. Although if other people haven't managed to maintain it, they don't tend to speak of it because it's not always seen as a good thing, which is sort of what made me want to do this little video. A couple of weeks ago, I was at a family gathering, my wife's family. I like them. I wasn't having a bad time. I was being social, but it was a lull in the conversation. I wasn't really talking to anyone for a few minutes. And it was raining. So everyone was kind of like gathered on the porch, sitting in chairs and tables and things and standing and talking. And I was kind of like leaning against one of the porch supports, just watching the rain come down and splash in the puddles and watching the ripples the rain makes in the puddles. Just, had a drink in my hand. I was content to sit there and watch the rain and My wife just like, Tuna, you all right? It's like, yeah, I'm just standing there watching the rain. But, you know, the idea that a person just standing there and watching, you know, and experiencing the world for what it is, just being lost in the moment and being content with that moment. You know, she thought something was wrong. And that in itself seems wrong to me. The idea that, you know, that I might find the rain interesting enough to sit and watch, you know, the way I would have when I was 6 years old, when everything was still new. I'm kind of proud that I've held on to that sense of wonder. You know, not as much as I did, you know, as much as I had when I was 6 and 5, 6, 7 years old, but I can still be amazed by something as simple as puddles in the rain. Good hunting.